Hey world, it's the 24th of November 2015, it's about 11:30 in the morning. Firstly, my apologies to the world in general for that video yesterday. I tried so desperately to put up a video for the week ahead. It took me hours and hours and hours to load. I had to cancel it 2 or 3 times, and then when it did load, it screwed up. So I've taken it down, and there's not going to be a week ahead video this week. For those of you that did listen to the first couple of minutes before it screwed up, it does seem that everything's happening. This last 36 hours has had such a degree of freneticism about it. It seems that everyone I speak to, friend, client, social, professional, especially clients, it seems that everything's beginning to get really manic, unpredictable. It's not quite disruptive and chaos and drama, but it is frenetic, headless chicken time, manic, and everyone seems to be sort of running around frothing at the mouth, self included. The trouble I had yesterday with that video just doesn't bear thinking about. Having said that, there's some nice things around. Look at that. That's what a really lovely client of mine in Austria sent me, completely out of the blue. Isn't it lovely? Thank you. You know who you are. Today, and for the next few days, it's all about Saturn Neptune. It really is. Mercury is going to conjunct Saturn in the next day or two. The Sun is going to conjunct Saturn in some 4 to 5 days' time. It's not just the immediate short term. Yes, the next week is likely to be difficult. The intensity and the pressure, especially in Europe at this time with the supposed terrorist threats, it's not going to die down. It's going to continue well into next weekend, and probably then for another week, because next week it's all going to be about Mars square Pluto, Mars opposite Uranus, and it isn't going to be until December the 11th, 12th that we're really going to see a downturn in the level of wiredness that seems to be around at the moment. But in this coming week, it's all not just about Saturn Neptune in terms of short-term limitation, restriction, frustration and circumstances outside of one's control that seem to be holding one back or blocking oneself, whether it is in communication or action. That is archetypal, Mercury conjunct Saturn and Sun conjunct Saturn. It's also the fact that Mercury and the Sun conjuncting Saturn are squaring Neptune. So it does seem that the more people are trying to bring clarity of communication or specific actions or events into their lives, the more Neptune is dissolving and diffusing these energies in a way that really is frustrating and irritating. And worst case scenario is that this is going to be over within a week, but it does talk of quite difficult energies at the moment. And it's not just, as I say, this week and next week or last week. This is going back a long time. In many ways, the Sun and Mercury now are travelling over ground that Saturn has been occupying for the last year, and that Neptune has been squaring for the last 3 or 4 years. So for many people, current events right now are not just about where they are now, it's also about summarising much of the last 3 or 4 years. Saturn will square Neptune exactly, I think it's Thursday. And it does seem that much of the nebulousness, uncertainty, gullibility, fog, cloud, mist, treacle, quicksand, escapism and avoidance, even addiction, whether it be to narcotics, food additives, chocolate, alcohol, or just sheer avoidance of this last 3 or 4 years, for everyone who's been hit like this, it does seem that this week is wrapping it up, summarising it, hopefully concluding it, and then pointing it in an entirely different new direction in a way that's much more liberating and free of the quicksand, the clogginess, the nebulousness. It would be lovely if by mid-December all of the fog and clouds of the last few years, the tiredness, the fatigue ridden, whether it be mental, emotional or physical fatigue, is over. And I do expect this to be so. I really do. Me, I'm the eternal optimist, but hey, I do think that much of the cloud is going to shift by mid-December and we're going to be in a much better space by then. It's also, of course, full moon, or it will be very shortly. What is it? It's about 40 hours, a day and a half away. And this full moon, it's going to be a bit of a stinker opposite Saturn. So again, this is a time where we are now of conclusion, ending and closure. This, as we speak, is not a good time for making new fresh starts or new beginnings. For the next 36 to 48 hours, bring things to a close. Things that have been going on a long time, culminate them. Bring them to a close and then point yourself in a new direction from Friday, Saturday onwards. And I really expect that from the weekend there will be a new energy in town. Personally, I can't wait. I just feel like tearing my hair out at the moment. Fortunately, the astrology keeps me sane. Astrology is not an inert force. It is a motive, active, dynamic force for constant change in this ever so frustrating world. And I'm so grateful that astrology is still an active force in my life. It's kept me going. So thank you, astrology, and thank you, world. And I'll see you soon. Bye.